Ultimately, saying you don't care about privacy because you have nothing to hide is no different from saying you don't care about freedom of speech because you have nothing to say. Edward Snowden. We're living through times where surveillance practices have become extremely unethical. No matter if you turn it off, no matter if you put it on airplane mode, it seems that your smartphone continues to work as if still being on recording every movement you make. Once you start using a smartphone, you become a part of this surveillance game. While many believe that our data is being exploited, the fact of the matter is, the ones being actually exploited are us, the people. It's the world's greatest spy device. We're allowing these devices to basically become our masters. While you're watching your phone is watching you. It should be waking people up. We buy them so they can spy on us. This is the problem that cybersecurity professionals face every day. While you're watching your phone is watching you. The operating system is designed specifically to watch you, listen to you, find out where you are. It needs to know who your friends are. It needs to know what you're saying in your text messages. It needs to listen to you sometimes. But hackers use those same facilities. They're built into the operating system. If a hacker gets access to those facilities, they may choose to empty your bank account without your permission or knowledge, or to steal your identity, or to start charging things on your credit card. That's the problem we have, and that's just on the individual level. On the corporate level, it's horrific because the problem is magnified by the number of people within the corporation. And on the nation-state level, it's even more horrific. Almost every developed nation has the ability to press a button and destroy the power grid in any other nation. This is the fact. This is not science fiction. On June 6, 2013, Americans learned that their government was spying broadly on its own people. That's when The Guardian and The Washington Post published a report that the U.S. National Security Agency, the NSA, was collecting the telephone records of tens of millions of Americans.
Reports that through a secret court order, the Obama administration is collecting the phone records of millions of Verizon customers. That's been reported by The Guardian newspaper in the UK. They said the court order shows that all the information is going to the National Security Agency. CNN has reached out to multiple sources to confirm the story, including the intelligence community and the FBI.
The paper published the secret court order directing telecommunications company Verizon to hand over all its telephone data to the NSA on an ongoing daily basis. That report was followed by revelations in both the Washington Post and The Guardian that the NSA tapped directly into the servers of 9 internet firms, including Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and Yahoo, to track online communication in a surveillance program known as PRISM.
The program that we wrote about is the NSA's collection of entire countries' phone calls, voice communications, for rolling buffers of 30 days in order to perform their mission. Right? This allows the NSA to go back 30 days in the past and look at or listen to phone calls that may have been made by people that they had no idea were suspects previously.
Shortly afterwards, The Guardian revealed that ex-CIA systems analyst Edward Snowden was behind the leaks about the US and UK surveillance programs. When Edward Snowden met journalists in his cramped room in Hong Kong's Mira Hotel in June 2013, his mission was ambitious. He wanted to start a debate about mass surveillance. He succeeded beyond anything the journalists or Snowden himself ever imagined. His disclosures about the NSA resonated with Americans from day one, but they also exploded around the world.
That phone in your pocket right now might be a government spying device, according to a stunning article from the Guardian newspaper in the UK. The story says a top secret court order is forcing Verizon to turn over all phone records for calls made in the US to the National Security Agency, and not just calls made to overseas numbers. When you call grandma in Nebraska, the NSA knows. This is a wide, indiscriminate net. They're not even looking for someone specific. When a call is made, Verizon turns over this information: the phone number, phone serial numbers, the location the call comes from, the time of the call, the duration of the call, and all the same information for the person on the other end of the phone, even if they're not a Verizon customer. And if you move from one tower range to another, you can be tracked.
For many people, that is a vitally important issue, one of the biggest of our time. Nothing less than the defense of democracy in the digital age. But the intelligence agencies dismiss such claims, arguing that their programs are constitutional and subject to rigorous congressional and judicial oversight. Secrecy, they say, is essential to meet the overriding aim of protecting the public from terrorist attacks. The debate has raged across time zones, from the US and Latin America to Europe and to Asia. Barack Obama canceled a trip to Moscow in protest at Russian President Vladimir Putin's protection of Snowden. Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff canceled a state visit to Washington in protest at the US spying on her. Bolivian President Evo Morales' plane was forced down in Vienna amid suspicion that Snowden was being smuggled out of Russia. In Germany, a livid Angela Merkel accused the US of spying on her, igniting a furor that has seen the White House concede that new constraints on the NSA's activities may be necessary. US internet companies, their cooperation with the NSA exposed by Snowden's documents, fear a worldwide consumer backlash and claim they were forced into cooperation by the law. Much of the NSA's defense is that the public should be unconcerned, summed up by the dictum: if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Cell phones, laptops, Facebook, Skype, chat rooms all allow the NSA to build what it calls a pattern of life, a detailed profile of a target and anyone associated with them. And the number of people caught up in this dragnet can be huge. You don't need to be talking to a terror suspect to have your communications data analyzed by the NSA. The agency is allowed to travel 3 hops from its targets, who could be people who talk to people who talk to people who talk to you. Facebook, where the typical user has 190 friends, shows how 3 degrees of separation gets you to a network bigger than the population of Colorado. How many people are 3 hops from you? Since the Snowden disclosures began, the NSA has justified its programs by claiming they have been crucial to successes in counterterrorism. Snowden recognizes the value of the NSA in counterterrorism, but thinks the spy agency has dangerously overreached itself.
Breaking news this morning: NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden has left the airport in Moscow, where he's been holed up for several weeks and has received asylum for a year in Russia.
After exposing multiple government organizations, Snowden has taken shelter at a political asylum in Russia. He's likely to be charged with the Espionage Act if he's ever returned to the USA. The Snowden documents show that the NSA runs these surveillance programs through partnerships with major US telecom and internet companies. Some of these relationships go back decades. Others are more current, in the wake of 9/11 and with the growth of the internet. Edward Snowden pulled the curtains off several popular tactics by mobile phone carriers and tech giants used to spy on users. Snowden revealed that many mobile carriers are using IMEI, International Mobile Equipment Identity, and IMSI, International Mobile Subscriber Identity codes, to determine each movement of the users. The IMEI and IMSI are identification numbers of smartphones and SIM cards. When a phone is turned on, the carrier continuously records every movement of the user by assessing their distance with the 2 signal towers. He points out that prior to the integration of smartphones, this type of information was private. However, digital technology has made it possible for mobile manufacturers and carriers to access the bulk information and even store it as a valued possession. No individual with a smartphone is exempted from this surveillance. Unfortunately, users are not aware of this issue and continue to hand over their privacy rights to their respective phone carriers, mobile manufacturers, and even app developers. Shutting your phone off does work in some ways, but question how you would know that your modern sealed smartphone is actually turned off. To protect their privacy, some people carry the old dumb phones. They're not smartphones, but they have the removable backs where you can take the battery out. What is your smartphone actually doing? The central issue surrounding modern smartphones is that we don't know what the device is doing and what it's connecting to. Apple and iOS, unfortunately, make it impossible to see what kind of network connections are constantly made on the device. If there was a button on your phone that said, "Do what I want, but not spy on me," you would press that button. That button does not exist right now, and both Google and Apple, neither of them allow that button to exist. And now, the problem is, how do you know when your phone is actually off and not sending data out into the world? Your primary threats are those bulk collection programs. Our phones are constantly squawking to these cell phone towers because we leave our phones in a state where they're constantly on. You're constantly connected. The central problem with smartphones today, you have no idea what the hell it's doing. Take Facebook. We download the app because we want to talk to our friends and upload some photos, right? But we don't want the app to talk to an ad or analytics server that's monitoring our behavior. We constantly read story after story about data being breached and companies spying on us, manipulating our purchases, or hiding things on our timelines. That happens as a result of a single problem, and that problem is an inequality of available information. They can see everything about you. They can see everything about what your device is doing, and they can do whatever they want with your device. Sure, we paid for our smartphone devices, but increasingly, these corporations own them. Increasingly, these governments own them. And increasingly, we're living in a world where we do all the work. We pay all the taxes. We pay all the costs, but we own less and less. Why? Because our data became a community. Intentionally, by design, governmental institutions and corporations realized it was in their mutual interest to conceal their data collection activities. What changed with technology is surveillance became bulk collection, and this was intentionally concealed from us. Companies such as Facebook will say, "We agreed to this." Why? Because when we opened our accounts, we clicked a 600-page legal form that stated the terms of service agreement. Who reads that? Most people don't. And this agreement states it can change at any time without our consent.
When you sign up for Facebook, you sign up for terms of service. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. It says, the terms govern your use of Facebook and the products, features, apps, services, technology, software we offer, Facebook's products or products, except where we expressly state that separate terms and not these apply. I'm a lawyer, I have no idea what that means. But when you look at terms of service, this is what you get. Do you think the average consumer understands what they're signing up for?
I don't think that the average person likely reads that whole document.
They've created a legal paradigm where data collected about us does not belong to us. This is how mass surveillance from a government's perspective is illegal. Our perspective as the public should be, that's the problem because this isn't okay. The scandal isn't how they're breaking the law. The scandal is they don't have to break the law. This is about data, about human lives. This is data about you. It's not data that's being exploited. It's people who are being exploited. It's not data that's being manipulated. It's you who's being manipulated. Even with the virtual assistant turned off, most of us have suspected our mobile phone is listening to our private conversations. While this can sometimes be convenient, helping marketers direct targeted advertising to our social media, search engines, and news feeds, many people are creeped out and see it as an invasion of privacy. According to digital privacy experts NordVPN, there are ways we can determine for sure if our phones are listening to us and ways to minimize the chances of it happening. Experts say the best way to check if your phone is spying on you is to set a trap. Select a topic that wouldn't normally be associated with you that you can confidently say you've never spoken about. Don't use your phone or any other device nearby to search for a topic. Think of a list of keywords that could trigger a search engine. Now discuss that topic out loud near your phone. Try to do this for a few minutes and repeat it over a couple days. Now the trap has been set. If you start to see ads pop up on social media, underneath search engines, or in your news feeds, this means the phone was listening. Why does this invasion of privacy happen? When a person uses the virtual assistant on their smartphone, they agree to the terms and conditions of the service provider. Digital privacy expert Daniel Markison says you should review the permissions that apps on your smartphone have been given on a regular basis. Once access is granted, the app can do whatever it wants with that data, Mr. Markison said. So build a routine to review your phone's app permissions and think twice before agreeing to an app's demands. He said some apps might try to access your microphone without any reason, and this could allow agencies to spy on you in the background and collect ad targeting data even when you don't want them listening. You should go through your smartphone settings and make sure the apps can only access the resources needed to do their jobs. Clearing your activities once in a while and turning off the audio recording function can also help, as Apple, Google, and other service providers allow the deletion of dictation history. You may also want to install a virtual private network on your smartphone which will mask your IP address and encrypt traffic, thereby improving your privacy. All this data you're offering through the actions you take with your smartphone becomes someone else's possession because all the records about you are not yours anymore. Once you agree, once you check that box that says you understood their terms and services, you're giving it all away to be used in whatever way profit hunters need to use it. In other words, as hard as it might be to understand, you agree that your phone is free to spy on you whenever and however. Thank you for watching, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. We really hope you subscribe, and if you'd like to be notified of future releases, just hit the bell button. Leave a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are on all of this and what topics you'd like to explore in our future videos.